Hey everyone, we're Red Donkey Projections. I'm Eric and we have Lucas as always.
Hey everyone.
Today is January 9th, 2021, and we're going to be filling out our very early, very preliminary 2022 Senate predictions. So in 2022, every 2 years, there's some sort of Senate election, and these are the states that are up for re-election. We're going to be filling out all the safe states, and based on the very little data we have for now, we will be talking about how some of the competitive states will go for now, or give some sort of a ballpark depending on who is currently going to run or who we don't know is going to run yet. That might change the odds of that race.
So this was very, very hard to do because we have very little information, but hey, we'll give it a shot. With that being said, let's get right into it. All right, let's get started. Let's just give a fair warning here that this is probably going to be a little bit off from the actual results. If this is this exact same result as the actual results, let's just say we're psychics because we really have no information right now. We're just going about based off of what we already know. So 2022 probably is going to be a red wave year, considering the historical precedent, which is that the second year of a president's term, the midterm year, is usually a wave for the opposite party. For example, Obama 2010 was a red wave year. Obama 2014 was a red wave year as well. They won a bunch of seats. Republicans won a bunch of seats in the House and in the Senate. So we'll be seeing if that holds true in this election. So let's just keep in mind really quickly that this could be a different type of situation due to the fact that we're in a peculiar situation right now with the pandemic here right now. If Joe Biden can make huge strides with vaccinations and get approved by the public, we could see something different, but we'll see in the future. So we did put the safe states that we have here right now. These are all the safe red states so far. And these ones should be no surprise here. You have did I say safe red? Safe blue states. You have the East Coast and you have the West Coast. And of course, you have Illinois. So I do want to make another reminder here, and that is that Democrats are defending less seats than Republicans are here. And I think this is a pretty favorable map for the Democrats right now, with the reason being that a lot of these seats they probably can hold their incumbents in. In 2014, you had a Democrat in Arkansas, you had a Democrat in, I believe, South Dakota. So that was very difficult to hold on to. But I think that given the states that the Democrats are holding right now and they have to defend, it shouldn't be too difficult. So we have the safe blue states. Eric, if you want to start listing out some of the safe red states.
Yep. So similar to the presidential race, we have most of the middle of the country and the South. So as Lucas is filling out, we have Idaho, Utah, the Dakotas, and then Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma. Kansas is pretty safe because we don't have a controversial candidate. And going on, we have Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, your usual Republican strongholds. And that's something that may give the Democrats the leg up because in this cycle, there aren't a lot of competitive, safe Republican states that are, for now, leading towards a Republican Republican Party. So given the situation and Biden maybe does a pretty acceptable job with coronavirus, maybe the Democrats do have a chance. And will go against the red wave pattern.
Exactly. I agree with you on that. Let's start discussing with some of these likely states now. I'll start off with Colorado. This is Michael Bennet. He ran for president. He basically got zero name recognition, but Colorado is a pretty blue state now. It is purple, but it's technically kind of blue. It went to Biden by more than 10 points, if I recall correctly. And John Hickenlooper took the seat pretty soundly as well. So we are going to be putting this one as likely. We don't really have any polling data. And even with the polling data, we're not going to trust it that much anymore. But given what we know about the demographics of Colorado, Michael Bennet will probably win re-election here. And he is an incumbent, so there is a higher chance of winning re-election there as well. Let's head to what other safe likelies. Okay, Eric, if you want to talk about Alaska, Lisa Murkowski is right here.
Yep, and let's talk about Alaska. But before I get to that, one slight note. Software has a little mistake in Georgia, where only one of two races is actually up for re-election. Because Ossoff won a regular race, he is going to serve the 6 years. Because Warnock won in the special race, His term is only 2 years, and he's going to finish that up and be up for re-election. Now let's go back to Alaska. This is going to be Lisa Murkowski's seat, and amid the current events of the Capitol, being kind of breached and the insurrection, Lisa Murkowski really disapproves of Donald Trump, and she is going to potentially switch to the Independent Party, but caucus with the Republicans. And as an incumbent, it does give her some advantage. But the interesting thing is that this can go in a few directions, but probably not. She is pretty unpopular among the Republicans because of how unpopular she is, because of her being a moderate. And what could end up happening is that, a more conservative Republican runs and Alaska people vote there. And one more thing to keep in mind is that Alaska is going to implement ranked choice voting, just like in Maine. So Democrats will probably put Lisa Murkowski as their second choice and can give her the leg up. But for now, given her being an incumbent and potentially switching to the independents, getting some appreciation there, for now, it's going to be a likely.
Or another option is maybe Democrats don't put up a candidate at all. That could be possible as well, and they could all support Lisa Murkowski. But this will be interesting. I think that Lisa Murkowski does have a pretty good shot at winning here. Even if she doesn't win, a Republican will probably defeat a Democrat here. All right, heading to Florida now. Probably one of the more well-known. Oops, I didn't mean to put the blue one there. But probably one of the more well-known senators, Marco Rubio. He ran for president. I think he is running for re-election for a third term now. Wow, it's been a very long time. But essentially, he's not too hated in Florida, and Florida has been trending to the right recently. We saw Florida go from Obama winning in 2012 to all of a sudden Trump winning it by 3 points. We saw Rick Scott defeat Bill Nelson here in 2018. I wouldn't be surprised if Marco Rubio won re-election. I don't think Democrats will have this seat in their sights. I don't know of any necessarily good Democratic candidates that can run against Marco Rubio. I mean, maybe Gwen Graham, but that's still highly unlikely. And I don't think that Democrats have a great shot here. They should be focusing on other states, which we'll be discussing later in this video. And two other states are Chuck Grassley. Chuck Grassley, I don't think he's said yet whether he's going to run for re-election. He's going to be, I believe, in his mid-90s by the end of his term, if he does run for re-election, which will be very interesting. He's a current president pro tempore until January 20th, when it becomes, I believe, Patrick Leahy. However, it's not competitive. I don't think this will be competitive. Democrats, again, they're not really good at putting up great candidates. I mean, Teresa Greenfield was solid, not an excellent candidate. And considering that Iowa voted so far to the right in 2020, the presidential election, and the fact that Teresa Greenfield lost by 6 points, even though polls were showing a much closer race, I don't expect this one to be that competitive either, just like Florida. And same thing for Ohio. We often, link Iowa and Ohio. They've been having similar voting numbers, and with Ohio also going to Trump in around 8 points. And I believe this seat is Rob Portman. He is more of a moderate. I don't think Democrats really hate him, so I wouldn't be surprised if Rob Portman ended up winning re-election here also by likely. All right, Eric, why don't you head now to South Carolina?
Yep. So in South Carolina, incumbent Tim Scott is up, and I really don't see any chance of it going less than a likely for now. Maybe if some people in South Carolina or the Democrats in South Carolina put up a good candidate, maybe it's possible. But let's take 2020 into perspective. Jamie Harrison was put up, and things were getting close against Lindsey Graham. What ended up happening? Lindsey Graham won by 10 points. So there is a pretty conservative foundation in South Carolina, and knowing Tim Scott, they'll probably reelect him.
And we're definitely not going to be trusting the polls that much in South Carolina. The polls were showing a very close race. It was a neck and neck, and then we saw Jamie Harrison raising a ton of money, and yet, he still loses by 10 points. I feel like Joe Cunningham might be able, if he does end up running, he's a representative or former representative. He lost re-election this year or last year. Wow, it's not 2020 anymore. If Joe Cunningham runs, I think it probably can narrow down to a lean. But other than that, it's definitely going to Tim Scott. There's no way that South Carolina, it's just too solid of a Republican state to go to the Democrats. All right, let's head now to Arizona. We have Mark Kelly here. Mark Kelly is running for reelection again because he did win a special election last year. We are going to be putting this one as lean. I think he has a solid shot at winning. Given Arizona's trends to the left, especially Maricopa County moving to the left, I think Mark Kelly has a very solid shot here. And the same thing can be said about Cortez Masto and Nevada. Nevada on the presidential level did go more to the right than we definitely expected. We didn't expect it to go in only 2 points to President-elect Biden. But I think Nevada is considered a swing state, but it is tilting to the Democrats enough so that the demographics in more of the big cities, Reno, Las Vegas, that Cortez Masto has a pretty good shot of winning re-election here. And to add on to this, we saw in 2018 was technically kind of a blue wave year, considering the Democrats picked up 40 seats in the House, but they didn't do too well in the Senate. Democrats did pick up the seat. Jackie Rosen defeated Dean Heller. So maybe that does show that Democrats have a pretty good shot at winning the seat. All right, but again, this is a red wave year, so keep that in mind. So let's head now to these last 4 states. First of all, let's head to Johnson. Oh, I was about to say Johnson. I actually meant, first of all, not Kristen, but I meant Maggie Hassan's seat here. And this is worrying Democrats a little bit, this seat here with Maggie Hassan. Eric, you can talk about this race.
So the situation in New Hampshire is this. Maggie Hassan is a Democratic incumbent who, if the Republicans do not put up a good candidate in New Hampshire, she'll probably win pretty easily. But Republicans potentially see a pickup in this race. Governor Kristen, who's a Republican, is very much liked in the state of New Hampshire. If he runs for the Senate, the amount of appreciation that he has from his citizens is not going to change, right? Because it's the same person just running for Senate. So if Kristen runs, then this could change up the whole situation. But assuming that he doesn't run because there was no official statement let out yet, I'm going to probably assume New Hampshire will go in like a likely lean area.
I have to agree with you on that. And the reason for that is because in 2020, we thought Jeanne Shaheen's race might be a little bit competitive. Instead, Republicans put up a terrible candidate who no one knew, and Jeanne Shaheen won it by over 15 points. Now, we got to take into account that this might be a red wave year, so we are going to put it as likely instead of safe. But if Republicans fail to field a good candidate again, expect this to be a Democratic hold pretty safely. But again, Kristen, very, very popular. He won by, did he win around by 20, 30 points in the governor election, despite New Hampshire voting 7 points to Biden? That was pretty interesting to see. He's very popular. He does stand a chance against Maggie Hassan, but again, we don't know completely yet. All right, let's head now to the state of North Carolina. Another situation that's kind of similar to New Hampshire, but not really. There is a retiring incumbent here. Richard Burr will not be running for another term here. So now the concern with Republicans for Democrats is that Roy Cooper could end up running. And Roy Cooper is probably the only Democrat who can run against a Republican candidate and win. The other person we were thinking maybe is the Attorney General of North Carolina, but it's looking like Roy Cooper is going to be the only one who can win. So far on the Republican side, the only candidate that is declared so far that's very, very serious is Mark Walker, who was a representative, but he chose not to run in for a re-election in 2020. He is probably going to be the nominee, and the only one who can beat him is probably Roy Cooper, because Roy Cooper is very well known, and he, in fact, split-ticketed. He was able to split-ticket a decent amount in the election, so that even though Biden lost the state on the presidential level, he still won by around 3 points. So we are going to be putting this one as lean Republican for now. If Roy Cooper runs, which I'll be quite honest, he probably won't run because the lieutenant governor is a Republican, so that wouldn't be too great for him. We are going to put this one as lean for now. All right, Eric, Why don't you now head to the state of Wisconsin?
So in Wisconsin right now, incumbent Ron Johnson is up, and he is a Republican. He is one of the top Republicans in the Senate. There is some talk that he might potentially retire. He said a few years ago that he would retire, but he still didn't. He's not that old to retire. There's a lot older senators like Chuck Grassley in the Senate, so who knows? But we really just don't know. If Ron Johnson stays in the Senate, we do think that his race will go probably in a lean, because it really depends on which candidates the Democrats put up. If they are a bit more popular than Ron Johnson, there could be some sort of change in the race. But assuming it is a red wave year, Ron Johnson will probably hold on if he does not retire.
Right. Ron Johnson has been flip-flopping on whether or not he's going to run for re-election or not. If he doesn't run for re-election, this could be a potential Democratic pickup. But as of now, probably not, because in 2016, Ron Johnson was expected to lose, but because he was behind in every single poll, he ended up winning. So that will be interesting. And our final state is Pennsylvania. Oh, actually, Georgia as well. Oops, I forgot about that. Pennsylvania, I'll quickly touch on right now. We're going to put this one as Tilt D as of now. Republicans have not put up a very serious candidate yet. Democrats, it does look like Lieutenant Governor Fetterman will be running. Not confirmed yet, but it does look like he will be running. So with that information, we probably are going to see a Fetterman victory here, because just a reminder here, Pat Toomey, who's the current senator, is not running for re-election. So this really could be a potential pickup right now. Again, nothing's for certain. We got to wait for more information. But even if it's a red wave year, we could see a Democratic pickup in this state. And finally, to the state of Georgia, special election with Raphael Warnock. Eric, why don't you touch on this?
So, as we said earlier, Warnock is up for re-election in 2022. There are a few things to consider. One, Raphael Warnock does not have that much political experience. He's going into the Senate as a reverend before, he was part of the church, and now he's in the Senate. Georgia is turning more to the left, but at the same time, what contradicts that is that, once again, 2022 might be a red wave year. So who knows what's going to happen. For now, because we don't have a particularly good Republican candidate, I am going to put Warnock's race as tilt, because if there is a more favorable Republican, and once again, Georgia is still a fairly conservative state, they might end up voting for this Republican candidate rather than Warnock. But for now, we do think that Warnock's race will go in a tilt given all the current factors.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I have it as tilt/lean. It could end up going to lean so far from what we know, but this will definitely be a very interesting race that we'll be taking a look at. And that is the end of the video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this episode, please hit the like button. If you like our content, please subscribe. We'll see you in our next episode tomorrow.
See ya.